4,000 feet above the ground, 1 minute of free fall at 200 kilometers an hour, 2 parachutes on your back, and only you are in control of what happens next. This is exactly what 42-year-old Kell lives for. Ken was 16 when he jumped out of a plane for the first time. From then on, he was hooked. Ken calls himself an adrenaline addict.
Growing up, I was always a wild child, and it was climbing trees, getting the sensation, you know what I mean, going fast, racing, you know, go-karts, bikes, whatever we had, water skiing, anything we did growing up, it was just crazy.
Ken thinks of himself as a Canadian sports pioneer. Snowboarding wasn't allowed on the hills, so Ken snowboarded anyway. Skydiving was just a stepping stone to bigger and more dangerous stunts.
I guess parts of me were trying to die, but I don't think in a depressed way, but more in an exciting way. If that makes any sense, I guess. I don't know.
When jumping out of planes like these wasn't enough for Ken, he turned to the most dangerous sport in the world, base jumping. 95% of base jumpers end up in the hospital due to their injuries.
Ken owned a sports store for 10 years before packing everything into his van and heading to Alaska to take on this high-risk sport. Then the unimaginable happened. While Ken was in Alaska, he went back to this building that had caught his eye a week earlier. He decided it was time to jump. Ken fell 14 floors, and his parachute deployed only 5 feet above the ground.
You have 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, 14 stories. Goes really fast. So again, there's nothing, like again, it's being prepared before you step off. During the fall, there is no time to think. That's it. You're fully 100% pure. You are so in tune with everything. You're feeling everything coming off your back. You don't have that conscious time to kind of wonder about stuff. Everything in the world that you think matters no longer matters at that moment as you jump off. And that was it. It was just, you mean, I was free, everything was perfect, I'd packed my gear, I felt confident. And the parachute apparently opened great. It's just the building was too short. I had 10 more feet, everything would, if I had 5 more feet, everything actually would have been completely different. But at this point, it was just that small little error in judgment. And it was completely my fault.
Doctors say Ken should have died. The impact traveled up through his body, both ankles shattered like glass, his femur broken, and his pelvis split in half. Forever altered, but in no way defeated, Ken spends a lot of time in this room healing himself from his decision to jump almost exactly 10 years ago.
When they got me to the hospital, all they did was kind of stretch me out, and they took everything from my insides outside of me. They spread me between 2 beds, and luckily we were in a army hospital. It was a training hospital, and they had new stuff that they were doing. So they froze my brain, took my body out, and separated it into a big bag and repaired all the little bits and pieces over a big plastic bag, and left me open with cotton in me for about 4 days.
For 27 hours straight, doctors in Alaska worked around the clock to piece Ken back together. The 205-pound extreme athlete fought for his life and survived.
I am hurting constantly, all the time. It's hard to sleep a lot of times. Any way I lay, I've got constant pain. The doctors say that, you know, it's just going to get worse as it goes forward. Like I said, I've got enough control right now to do stuff, and when I do any activity at all, it causes me a bunch of pain, but I'll get pain-free when I get that sensation. Like if I get that thrill going on, I get pain-free for a little bit, And it's worth it because each time I push myself, I seem to be getting better.
Stories like this are part of the base jumping culture. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and it could mean the end of your life. Kyle Wilkes-Anvelt, a friend of Ken's and also an avid base jumper, saw the shocking aftermath of Ken's accident.
I didn't recognize him. Like, before the accident, he was like, you know, like a football player, like big, you know, wide shoulder, everything. And I remember seeing him in the wheelchair, and like his legs were, like, everything had atrophied, and he had all these pins and rods and sticking out of him. And it was just like, oh, like he looks good for someone who shouldn't have lived through the night.
Kyle works at the Parachute School of Toronto teaching others how to skydive. Despite his own injuries and watching friends die in front of him, he still base jumps every weekend.
I've seen a few friends go in. It's hard to watch. It's hard to deal with, but the way I like to look at it, and I find a lot of us feel the same way, is I mean, we're all going to go sometime, so do what you love, and if you die doing what you love, well, I mean, that's the best way to go. The only thing that will stop me is quadriplegia or death.
This is Luke Anderson 10 years ago. And this is Luke today. He's a quadriplegic after a mountain biking accident in British Columbia.
I left the takeoff platform and came up a little bit short. So maybe 2 or 3 inches short. I hit the transition with my front wheel, which sent me flying over the handlebars and landed head first, which resulted in me breaking a couple of vertebrae in my neck. And I suffered a spinal cord injury as a result of that.
That split second kicked off 6 months of intense rehabilitation. Luke lost the use of his legs, has minimal use of his hands, and is now challenged by the smallest of tasks.
I need some assistance getting up in the morning, and some help during the day, and going to bed again at night.
But what next after you break almost every bone in your body? Once you're in a wheelchair, is it time to stop?
I don't think everybody in the world has that opportunity or has had that experience where they've really found something that makes them want to get up in the morning and really drives them. And cycling gives me that, continues to give me that, believe it or not.
I had everything I wanted at the time. And at that point, it's like, where's the next mountain? I really don't like being on top. I like climbing the mountain. I like looking to the next adventure, and being that person that's what's next, and going. This is a new challenge for me, and I don't know where it would have gone the other direction. I think I would have got lazy. I think I would have just lost my drive. But now when it's like my body might not stand up, or this might not happen, or I don't know if I can do it, it's something that I need to learn. So learning and overcoming that fear is really what's exciting to me right now. And I'm truly doing it for myself. I'm not doing it for anybody else, competing against anybody else. I'm in my own field.
Luke can no longer ride a bike, but he continues to hold on to his passion for cycling by teaching others about the sport. Kyle continues to base jump and skydive, and now Ken, 10 years after the accident in Alaska, plans on base jumping again. It seems the more challenges you put in front of these thrill seekers, the more determined they are to push forward into unknown territory.
The experience that it's given me is irreplaceable. I have been able to see the world in such a completely different way. It is a whole new lens of reality. Being in a wheelchair and wheeling around and seeing the world at 3 feet is such a different experience. And it's one that I would have never given up. Just to see the difficulties, just to see the world through a different eye. I've been given so much more, like so many more colors to my life right now, just because of this experience. So I'd never ever change what happened.
Yeah, I'm still an adrenaline junkie. I'll never lose that, and I've never regretted doing what I did. It's unfortunate that I had the nasty bail that I did, but I often think about what it would have been like to nail that, and what my life would be like had things gone well. I'd be still riding my bike, and if I were to relive that moment, and if I had been able to have a second chance, I know this might sound really stupid, because I question myself every now and then about this decision, but I think I'd give it another whirl, just because of that euphoria that comes with a sport like mountain biking.
Ken is not fearless. He is afraid to base jump again after everything he's been through, but he's also afraid not to.
I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. But I don't know how I'm going to feel when I stand up there. But this is my art. There's something calling to me to do it. This is what I do well. So I want to go back and do it. Again, the fear is something that is unknown. I don't know what's going to happen up there. So I want to figure it out. I want to overcome this fear. I want to know how it feels to do it again and to go forward. I don't want to live life afraid of something.
It's just one of those experiences that you just cannot get anywhere else. Like it's such a, like we call it sensory overload. Like literally every sense you have, taste, touch, smell, sight, it's just so overwhelming, and it's just, I don't know, also like at the same time so peaceful.
I'm really comfortable at 200 miles an hour. I don't like going slow. I feel at home. Like everyone else is, that's their place to be afraid. But you mean if I was in a rocket ship, I was on a street luge or going down a mountain, I feel better, I feel more calm, going really, really fast.
For the Ryerson Documentary Unit, I'm Joelle Tomlinson.